Welcome to Miss Valley Entertainment News. I thought it was about time that I covered the Stanley Cup Final for 2024. As I record this video, it is early afternoon, and Game 4 will be commencing later this evening. And I fully expect the Florida Panthers to win their fourth straight game and capture the Stanley Cup in Edmonton. Now, spoiler alert, I am a fan of the Edmonton Oilers. My favorite team will always be the Pittsburgh Penguins, thanks to the great Mario Lemieux years. But the Oilers are my second favorite NHL team. Despite my allegiances, I would like to congratulate the Florida Panthers organization on a terrific final and on capturing the Stanley Cup whenever they do. Victory by the Panthers is well-deserved. Full stop. Now, that being said, I am an Oilers fan. No, I don't live in Alberta. I never have. But I'm a fan of the organization as a whole. And although I am sad to see the Oilers lose in the final, I'm also quite proud of them and of what the team has accomplished this year. Getting to the finals is not easy. If it was, there wouldn't be a 1 in 16 chance of arriving at that point. 2 teams out of 32 make it to the finals, and both are to be congratulated on surviving the grueling journey to get there. And losing in the finals is not something to be mocked or to be downplayed, as the Panthers fans should know. Winning the cup is hard. And it is even harder for teams who have not been to the finals previously, especially when playing against a finalist from the year before. Because sometimes it helps to have that experience. Quite often it does, actually. I would like to remind Oilers fans to stay classy. Recognize the better team won and congratulate them. And for Pete's sake, don't be like the many, many hateful and spiteful people that show up on every single Edmonton Oilers article ever written and badmouth the team, the players, the organization, their captain, their history, etc., etc., etc. Honestly, people, if you are one of those kind of people that are doing these things, or you're behaving in this manner in the name of fandom, just stop. That isn't being a fan. That isn't being a good human being. That is being a raging, hateful, spiteful idiot. And this sort of thing has to stop. And you know what? It starts with you, and it starts with me. Be much better than that. The things written in internet comment sections about this Oilers team, they are disgusting. They are untrue, and they are absolutely uncalled for. Don't engage with it. Ignore it and move on. People, no matter what sport, no matter what team you're a fan of, don't be like this. It's thick. Stop it. Being a sports fan is about being a good sport, not about being a potty-mouthed liar and a hateful human being who crushes your perceived and imagined enemies. This is not the Colosseum. You're not a gladiator. You're not fighting for your life. It's sports. It's enjoyable for everyone. Let's keep it that way. Now, I wanted to also cover this recent article as it refutes some of the things the collective internet hive mind seems to constantly viciously spray out in regards to the team, the organization, and its players. So let's finish our coverage of the Edmonton Oilers this year on a good note, shall we? So this is an article written by Jim Parsons. It was here on NHLTradeTalk.com, and I am going to link this article down below. If you'd like to check it out yourself, please go ahead. I'm going to do a little reaction to this and read it, talk about it a little bit. It is called Oilers Long-Term Deals in the Works for Draisaitl, McDavid, Bouchard. The Edmonton Oilers have reportedly already spoken with Draisaitl about a long-term deal with McDavid and Bouchard set to follow. It says, NHL insider Frank Saravelli of the Daily Faceoff hinted on Friday that the Edmonton Oilers will sign Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, and Evan Bouchard, paying a combined $40 million annually. To the three of them, I'm guessing, yes. In conversation with Oilers Now host and a color commentator for the Oilers, Bob Stauffer, Draisaitl's camp is aiming for a long-term contract rather than a shorter deal like Austin Matthews signed in Toronto. Toronto fans and Toronto haters, please don't flood here to my video to get into fights with each other. Be better. Back to the article. Saravelli believes the Oilers have already started discussions with Draisaitl, and similar deals with McDavid and Bouchard will follow. During Friday's show, Saravelli emphasized that the Oilers are looking to act fast. Quote, the Oilers need to make hay right now because they've got McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard only adding up to $25 million. The next iteration of this, when everyone is locked up, because to me, it's when, but not if. Stauffer interrupted. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're saying the Oilers are going to get all three of those guys signed. I believe the Oilers have already begun discussions with Draisaitl's camp, Saravelli confirmed. Stauffer added that Draisaitl is looking for a long-term contract, and Saravelli projected the trio of Draisaitl, McDavid, and Bouchard would sign for a combined salary of $40 million within 2 years. Stauffer figured McDavid would come in at $16 million, Draisaitl at $14 million, and Bouchard at $10 million. You can get that as an Oilers, you take it. If the Oilers are sitting in their office with hockey boss Jeff Jackson's big board that he has up there, I think the numbers are really close to that. The cap is also going to be $100 million then. So 2 years from now, could be. Could be. When asked why he's so confident the Oilers get this done, Saravelli noted, this is the only place on planet Earth that both of them, Draisaitl and McDavid, can play together. Where else are you going to get to play with Connor McDavid? He's not going anywhere, I don't think. They're best friends. As it says here, Draisaitl has come to realize how good he has it in Edmonton. Saravelli and Stauffer praised Oilers owner Daryl Katz for his pivotal role in the team's success. Saravelli says that hasn't been lost on Draisaitl. Saravelli likened the Oilers to the Green Bay Packers of the NHL, highlighting their financial prowess despite being in a small market. Katz stepped up to buy the team. Leon Draisaitl said they have the best owner in pro sports, Saravelli remarked. It's also well known that Draisaitl and McDavid are extremely close. The idea that another team could afford to pay $30 million to get both players within a year of each other is far-fetched, and no team would be able to offer the eighth year that the Oilers can. If Saravelli is right, this removes a lot of the potential future drama that could hit the organization and the fan base. In cities where there might be concern the top stars aren't going to stick around or will want to test the market and see what's out there, it sounds like Edmonton's top three players have no desire to leave. Okay. It has goes right here. Jacob Kerr. Saravelli says Oilers have begun contract talks with Draisaitl, and McDavid is committed to staying in Edmonton. Well, that certainly doesn't fit the narrative of the internet hive mind, or the very angry killer bees who sting anything near them. The people that just hate the Oilers, and their hatred and probably jealousy is so great that they froth at the mouth and cut themselves and work themselves into a frenzy over every single article that mentions the Oilers. And we'll talk about how terrible an organization they are, how they have a terrible general manager, they have a terrible owner, They're in a terrible city. The arena sucks. The organization sucks. The trainers suck. The bench the guys sit on the ice sucks. Their ice sucks. Their coach sucks. Their coaching staff sucks. Their history is a joke. Let's see what else. Their goaltending isn't NHL level. Their defense is the worst in the league. Draisaitl tries to injure people and isn't a good person, and he doesn't try very hard, and he's just a guy with a shot, and that's all he is. And McDavid is a whiny baby who dives all the time and doesn't deserve any awards, and he's not a good leader. And Evan Bouchard is just a turnover machine, a terrible defenseman who would never be able to play on anybody else's team, and how all the Oilers fans suck. And I mentioned the organization sucks. Oh, the logo sucks. They were only built through drafting first overall players, that they constantly tank to get first overall. That their cap hit is too egregious for the team, that they make terrible trades. They never made a good trade in their whole organization. That the history of the Oilers back in the 80s is who the hell cares? Nobody cares. Every team in the NHL is better than the Oilers. The Oilers don't deserve to have ever won a game this year. The Oilers didn't deserve any single of the wins that they got in the playoffs or the playoff series victories, that they fluked their way to the Stanley Cup final, blah, 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 blah. I mean, honest to God, there's a bunch of people who are saying those exact things on every single Edmonton Oilers article. I kid you not. It's false, and it's sick. And they can add to that, they all talk about the fact that Draisaitl is leaving for insert whatever team, and they're going to have to trade him, and they don't have any cap room, and that he doesn't want to be in a loser team anymore. McDavid's leaving in another year, and blah, 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 blah. And Nurse is a boat anchor contract that you'll never get out of. Haha, it's the worst contract in all of NHL history because he's the worst NHL defenseman ever, blah, 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 blah. And I'd like to point out that a lot of times the people who rip into Nurse, I want to say this because I'm always very careful about what I say about Darnell Nurse, because first of all, he's a high-end athlete. Darnell Nurse is a high-end athlete. Not many guys can go out there and play defense on an NHL team, on a winning NHL team for the most part, and be able to play 30 minutes a night some nights like he can. He's a high-level athlete. So if you don't like Darnell Nurse, you're not going to agree with me. But I'm telling you, he's a high-level professional athlete. So I have a little bit of difficulty ripping into him. He's an extremely good skater. His skating, his wheels, as they call it in the NHL, his ability to skate is one of the best in the NHL. Not the best, but one of the best. He's probably the top 10%, okay? Maybe even top 5. He's an amazing skater. He's an amazing overall athlete. And again, his ability to play big minutes when he's called upon to do so, that's something else too. He's also physical. He's a physical guy. Not many people really want to get into physical battles with Darnell Nurse. He'll drop the gloves for his teammates. He's a leader in the dressing room. He takes responsibility when he has a bad game or makes a mistake. He's a good human being as far as I know. I mean, I never met the guy. I don't live next door to him or anything. I'm just saying. So I have difficulty in ripping into Darnell Nurse. I do recognize about Darnell Nurse, though, is that his ability to see the plays and see the ice is not on the level of a Draisaitl or McDavid. Not on a level even of a Bouchard or an Ekholm. He sees the ice probably at a slightly below average level, which is what causes him to constantly get himself out of position. Not constantly, but this is what causes him at times to get out of position. He doesn't have that. Anyways, that's Darnell Nurse's main problem. That he gets injured at most terrible times. It's obvious he's playing with an injury right now, and that's tough for the Oilers. But I'm just going to tell you, when I see people ripping into Darnell Nurse, I always think, first of all, this is a high-level paid athlete that they're ripping into. None of these people who rip into him are. And second of all, I think to myself, even when it's Oilers fans ripping into it, I think to myself, Is there a possibility they're picking on Darnell because he's an easy target because the people ripping into him are white and Darnell Nurse is black? It's a question that has to be asked. And unfortunately, we know that some people who are fans of the Oilers and comment on Oilers articles all the time um, are racist. Some of them. I'm not giving you a percentage. I'm not telling you there's a greater percentage there than anywhere else. I'm just saying it's obvious that there are some racists who follow the team. Go back and talk to Ethan Bear. Find out what happened to him. Ethan Bear got ran out of Edmonton by racists commenting to him on the internet. So I'm very, very careful when I see somebody of a different race, a different skin color, than me, and people ripping into them. I tend to stand back a little and say, I'm not going to do it. Is Darnell Nurse paid a little bit more than we would like to be paying him? Yes. Again, if Darnell Nurse is getting paid $7 million a year, you'd still have reason to complain when he makes a mistake. Sure, as a fan you do, but it's not as much complaint. Yeah, he got overpaid, but he got paid what the market would have paid him somewhere if he didn't get it with Edmonton. Truth of the matter. At the time, that's what he was going to get. That's what they had to get. That's what they had to give him to keep him. That's what they did. It is what it is. Does it affect the team? Of course. Does it affect his play on the ice? Shut up. No. So yeah, Darnell Nurse, people rip into him, but Darnell Nurse is fine. And he's here long term, so we deal with it. We hope Paul Coffey and others can continue to work with him. I don't know. Maybe find Darnell. In all honesty, maybe find Darnell a good sports psychologist to work with. Maybe that would help him. I don't know. But yeah. So what we see here is the core of the team in Nurse, obviously Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who took a little sweetheart of a deal last time he had a deal in order to stay here and help out the salary cap. Evander Kane is at a good salary. Yes, he's had kind of a bad year and he's had a couple bad years of injuries. But even at his age, if he can get over the injuries in the summer and come to camp, focused, he's still worth his salary, right? But you've got that kind of core, and yet you obviously have to include, the Bouchards, the Dreisaitl's, and the McDavids. Those who people say are either suck or are leaving the Oilers, indeed are not leaving the Oilers. They're planning on staying here. Now, if these numbers are right, and those three are going to sign over the next 2 years for $40 million, their salaries are going up. There are going to be casualties somewhere. I believe Ekholm's deal is up in 2 years, I believe. He's got 2 more seasons. So his deal would be up, I think, at the same time that McDavid's new deal would kick in. So there's a little bit of salary help there. But they might have to move some salary out. But what I see is an Oilers team that has worked very hard this year that I'm very, very proud of. And I see an Oilers organization that is setting themselves up to keep taking stabs at this thing. Do I think they're going to get back to the Stanley Cup next year? I don't know. I just hope next year they get into the playoffs, they get a good chance, and hopefully they stay healthy. That's honestly all I can do. I was not a guy who sat here this year and made bets that the Oilers was going to win the Stanley Cup. I looked at every single series the Oilers were in, and I said, I don't know who's going to win. I know who I would like to win, but I don't know who's going to win because the games have to be played. The games have to be played. And until the game is over, you don't know who's going to win. You just don't. So people who are like, oh, the Oilers are going to win in 4, or, oh, the LA Kings are going to win over the Oilers in 4. People like that are just being silly. None of you have a crystal ball. None of you know. They're like, book it. You could book it. It's happening. Well, it never happens. Come on. As people say it never happens. There's a reason. This is a grind. It's a battle of attrition. It is the hardest trophy to win in sports. And it is done not by superstars, but by a team. And the Florida Panthers have shown commitment to team and team play over a full season of it, playing the right way, playing playoff hockey throughout the season in order to ingrain yourself that this is how you have to play in the playoffs. So your players play the same way. That is the next step the Oilers need to take. The Oilers need to enter next season playing playoff hockey, which means you're not thinking the power play is going to win the game for you. You're not thinking drawing penalties is going to win the game for us. You're not thinking, the penalty kill and the power play are the thoughts of what's going to win the game for us. Those should be things that are good, but those should not be where your focus is. Your focus is on each and every battle on the ice, supporting each other, being in good position, playing together, and playing the right style. That is winning the board battles, winning the slot battles. That is taking the puck to the net. All of these, not playing on the outside or looking for a pretty pass. If they can commit to a full season of doing that with the talent they have and their great penalty kill and power play, for the most part, throughout the season, right? They've had both. We know this. If they can continue that into next year as well, goaltending get better. Hopefully get a good backup signed, and hopefully Skinner takes another step. And Skinner is fine. He is very much Grant Fuhr-like. He's not going to make every save, but he's going to try to make enough saves to let you win. So he's a good guy, Stewie. They put all these things into place next year, then they will have a good chance to compete for the Stanley Cup. Nobody knows if they'll win it. Nobody knows. But look at Florida. Florida learned how to play. They had some injuries last year. It cost them in the Stanley Cup final. They came back. They learned how to play as a team. They learned how to play playoff hockey in regular season. Went all the way through the season, practicing what they needed for the playoffs each and every game. Got into the playoffs, and they are now getting the Stanley Cup this year. Hopefully, it's the same method, the same path that can be followed by the Edmonton Oilers. So look, everybody, on a bright note, despite all those nasty, terrible freaking things that are being said on the internet about the Oilers constantly by those who are hateful, terrible human beings, and probably a little jealous of the Oilers and their talent, as we read here, there is no panic in Edmonton Oilerland. The team is staying together. The team likes each other. The team has a plan. The team has good coaching staff. We are well set. Ken Holland has done a wonderful job, despite what most people will tell you. He's done a wonderful job. He got this team to where it is, and he's setting them up for long-term success. People, the Oilers are in good hands. But my hat's off, but figuratively speaking, to the Florida Panthers on their Stanley Cup victory this year. And let's go Oilers next year. Everybody, remember, stay classy out there. Being a fan is about being a fan. It's not about being a raving lunatic. Treat others with respect. Treat other organizations with respect, even if you don't like them. And from Miss Valley Entertainment News, this is my name is Dredd, by the way, and here we are covering the NHL Final 2024 between the Oilers and the Panthers. It's been my pleasure to talk about this. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, but I kept holding off because really I wanted to figure out what I wanted to say. This is it, I guess. So thank you for tuning in for this, and we'll see you all again later on.